Alright, so today we will be surviving 2,300 days in hardcore Minecraft. And what I'll be doing is transporting the Nether to the overworld. What I've done is I've grabbed an actual part of a Nether Fortress, changed the biome up a little bit, and then I will transport it to my base block by block. So in the end, we will have this massive 100 by 100 sphere of the actual Nether right next to my base. This is shaping up to be one of the most massive projects I have ever done, so stick to the end of the video to see how it all turns out. And don't forget that like button, as liking the video really helps it out and it helps for YouTube to promote the video more. And with that, let's just jump into it. Alright, so to give you guys an idea of how I did this is I simply went into a creative world and I found a Nether Fortress, similar to the one I have here on my hardcore world. I then used the world edit to literally just select a giant sphere of that entire area, so that way I could sort of copy it, move it around, you know, make adjustments to it and stuff like that. And what I wanted to do is like how you can see the background over here, how there's this crimson forest right next to this Nether Fortress. I wanted something like that. I wanted the different biomes and the different forests in the Nether to be in this giant sphere that I was moving, because I thought it would look more interesting and stuff like that. So I just grabbed that circle, edited it up, made it look a lot better, so that way I get a general idea of how many blocks I would need, and this is what we're gonna need. We need 3 full double chests of netherrack, which is an absolute ton. We also need a double chest and a half of just nether brick, which you actually get nether brick from smelting netherrack, so we basically just need more netherrack. We also then need a double chest full of soul sand and soul soil, and then we just have a bunch of miscellaneous blocks like the crimson, the warped blocks, and then a bunch of decoration blocks like the ores and the blackstone and whatnot. So yeah, this is definitely, I think, the most supplies I've ever needed, especially considering the 1,000 source blocks of lava that I'm gonna need, which equates to like 20 double chests of lava. So yeah, it's not really that big of a deal to transport all of this, considering all of the shulker boxes that I got from my shulker box farm. Not that big of a deal, but I did want to figure out exactly how much netherrack I needed to make all of this nether brick. So doing a simple little bit of math, I found out that I actually needed 6 full double chests of netherrack just to craft 1.5 double chests full of nether brick. So yeah, in total, we actually needed 9 double chests of netherrack. Yeah, we went ahead and grabbed all of our shulker boxes, and we can just keep them in an ender chest to make them easier to transport, stuff like that. So that way I don't actually have to carry all these shulker boxes in my inventory. I can just carry 1 ender chest, and then there you go. And then now we just need to collect all of the supplies, which I have this huge area that I blew out to get all of the ancient debris I needed to make my netherite beacon, so I figured this was a good place as any. It took me, I think, around 4 to 5 minutes to actually mine out all of the netherrack I needed for 1 full shulker box of netherrack. But then after I did that, I forgot to turn the recording back on somehow. So yeah, I don't know how I'm that dumb, but skip forward about an hour or so, and this is the massive area of netherrack that I mined out, and I now have all of the netherrack that I need for all the nether brick and just for the build in general. And now what I need to do is just stick around here to grab all of this gold ore and nether quartz ore and blackstone and whatnot, because again, these are the decoration blocks that we're going to be adding. And I have to say, getting all of that ancient debris in the past for my netherite beacon actually turned out to be pretty useful, because I've come back to this area so many times to grab just a bunch of different ores and whatnot for my decorations and for my builds. So yeah, it's pretty useful to get all of this. So it didn't take me too long, maybe another 20 minutes or so to grab all of those blocks that I needed. And now really all I needed was the magma cube blocks. And I figured the easiest way to get these would be to actually use my magma cube farm. And I actually created this thing a long time ago when I made my gold farm, because gold farms in the nether require you to have magma blocks. So I created this farm just to help me out, and I've literally never used it ever again because magma blocks aren't really that useful. But hey, I'm finally using it like 1,000 days later to grab me some more blocks. Yeah, I just went and AFK'd up top for maybe about 20 minutes or so, and that gave me all of the magma cream that I needed to craft these blocks. So went ahead, got all that done, and we've got most of our supplies so far, so that's pretty good. Now really all I need is the crimson and warp blocks for the nether. I need to smelt all of my netherrack to get the nether bricks and just get the soul sand and soul soil, which shouldn't take me too much longer. So yeah, next thing I decided to do was the soul sand and soil, because again, really simple. You just fly into the nether, you find a giant biome with all the soul sand and soil, you break it instantly. It's really simple. A lot of the supplies I was getting for this thing was really simple, just slightly tedious due to the excessive amount that I needed. Also, off in the distance, I do have this crimson forest, so I figured might as well grab the crimson while I'm here. You just use a silk touch pickaxe to go ahead and grab all of that. Once I had about 9 or so stacks, I figured that would be pretty good. And then I moved my way over to the warped forest, which again, same exact process with the crimson forest, just a silk touch pickaxe, grab all that, grab around 9 stacks or so, and we should be good to go. And that's it. We've got literally all of the supplies we need now. All we have to do is just take the time to smelt 6 full double chests of netherrack to craft all of my nether brick. If I were to do it as fast as possible with all of the furnaces I have now, it would take me like 10 minutes per double chest of netherrack, but I was kind of slow with it. I was like watching YouTube videos and I wasn't paying attention to exactly when the entire stack finished. So it ended up taking me like a couple of hours to smelt all of this. So yeah, it took quite a while to get all of that done. But overall, it was pretty simple. Most of it was just sitting AFK waiting for the furnaces to cook it all. So yeah, crafted all of that. Also made sure to craft all of the nether brick fences that I needed. And then we could finally transport all of these nether bricks back to my storage area. Finally, after an actual complete day of work in real life, we finally had all of the supplies that we needed. Literally one whole day of work just before we even started building. And that's not even counting the countless amount of hours prior to this that I actually spent getting the build ready to sort of get an idea of how I wanted to actually get this done in the overworld. We've already put like so much work into this and we haven't even started building yet. Finally, we can get to that though. I finally figured out a spot around where I wanted to put it. I was able to grab all of the blocks, put them in my shulker boxes, so that way I could easily transport them. And I figured right around here is probably a good place to start the build. I mean, this area isn't too clean. I fought a wither here back in the past to actually get some wither roses for one of my builds, and I never bothered cleaning up this area, so it kind of looks a little messy. I'll have to clean it up in the future, but I went ahead and started the build actually, and I mean, it looks pretty good right here. It's close enough to my base, so that way I'll be able to see it whenever I'm at my base, so, you know, I thought it looked fine, and so we simply just continued expanding out our sphere. I made sure to hollow everything out, of course, because if I actually filled this entire thing in and it wasn't just hollow, we'd be using way too many blocks. I finished up a few rows, and then I went ahead and just finished up the base of the sphere. This is like halfway up, just that way you guys can get a general idea of actually how big this thing is gonna get. Again, it's gonna be a massive project. We aren't just building this tiny little circle in the overworld. We're putting a lot of effort into this thing. Not really much else more to say, just gotta continue building up the stupid wall of this thing. So yeah, didn't take me too long to finish building all of this up. I think only about another 30 minutes or so, and we were completely able to finish that up. And this is just right here at the base of the sphere. Most of this is going to be filled with like lava and stuff like that. So this is basically, I guess you would say, half of it and the easiest part to get done. Next, everything else is going to take so much more time and going to be so much more difficult. We're going to build like a soul sand mountain over here. Over here is going to be like a crimson forest mountain and a warped forest mountain. It's going to be insane. And I decided to go ahead and outline everything for you guys so you guys can get a better idea of how it's going to look. This right here is going to be our crimson forest. This sort of sectioned off area, it's going to go up pretty tall. Where I'm standing right now will be our warped forest, and then over here will be our soul sand sort of hilled area, I guess. And then everything else in between will just be lava. So yeah, that's pretty much how it's gonna look. I don't think I really need to explain anymore. Now we can just, you know, get to building. And I think what we'll go ahead and do now is just go ahead and fill everything in, because I want to actually have the entire floor as a source block of lava. And I actually need, you know, a place to put the lava, so I have to fill the entire thing in, fill the entire floor in, so we actually have a place to put the lava. And so I just went ahead, spent a couple days, went ahead and did that, and so there you go. Now we can actually walk around on this thing, and you guys can sort of get a better idea of how this thing looks in my mind and how I want to actually put it in my world here. Again, I don't think I really need to explain anymore. I think you guys sort of got the idea of how it's going to look by now, but I did sort of change up the design a few times, moved around the biomes a little bit to try and get something I thought would look a little bit better, but for the most part, it's all pretty much staying the same. Yeah, this is what it looks like right now, and again, we're actually going to extend the biomes up so massively tall that you're going to easily see all of the biomes and forests, even from the ground. That's how tall this thing is going to be. But right now, we're actually sort of coming into a bit of trouble. As you can see, there is an absolute ton of mobs underneath this thing because of all of this shade this thing has spawned. So I just really quick went to the nether, grabbed myself an absolute ton of glowstone, and then I just went ahead and flew back, and we just placed the glowstone all around so a mob stopped spawning under here. I didn't really need to do this, but I mean, I didn't want to like accidentally fall and then like have a creeper blow up the land and mess everything up. So yeah, I just went and did that really quick. And then once we fly back up here, as you can see, there's actually a ton of mobs now spawning inside my giant sphere, which is also kind of a problem. I didn't feel like dealing with this right now. Eventually in the future, I could just grab some torches, spam them all down there to stop them from spawning, and that would be good enough. But right now, to give you guys a general idea of the height that this thing is going to go to, I am actually going to build the entire Nether Fortress. So I went ahead, went back to some of my supplies, grabbed all of the Nether bricks, and we were just going to build the entire thing. Because the Nether Fortress is actually like the center. So I went ahead and build that up. As you can see, the biggest one is right in the center, and then we just built up some smaller pillars all around the sides, and then just connected everything, put it all together, and a few days later, we had the entire Nether Fortress built. And again, this is an actual Nether Fortress. I directly copied this from the Nether, so this is a block for block remake of an actual fortress that I had spawned, so I thought it all looked pretty good and authentic, because, you know, it is. This staircase right here does look a bit odd. That's because it was actually cut off in the overworld by a giant mountain, and that's what this end of my build is going to be. I'm actually going to build up this Crimson Forest, build it all the way up so it intersects with that staircase right there, so it doesn't just like lead into nothingness. So yeah, it'll make a lot more sense when I get to building, and I've noticed that the mobs have really started to go to an excess down here, especially with the creepers. So I'm like, yeah, I probably gotta deal with this, because the last thing I want, again, is to fall down there and have a creeper explode and mess everything up. So I just put some holes in the floor to make some light spawn in to prevent too many mobs from spawning in right there, and then I flew out, grabbed some torches. We just ran around in circles a few times in this thing, spamming torches all around to light the entire thing up, and there you go. No more mobs spawn in there anymore, and I didn't have to worry about creepers blowing anything up. And so there you go. Things are really starting to take shape now. I mean, it is taking a long time to get this done, but it's really nice to actually see this thing all come together and to look as good as I was hoping it would be. So now it's just a matter of figuring out what to do next, and I figured we would probably work on the Warped Forest next, because the ground under the Warped Forest isn't raised too much. It's not so much a mountain, and it kind of connects into this soul sand hill we've got here, so I'll sort of just work on that. I figured that would be the easiest thing to work on next. So I went ahead and started that soul sand sort of hill on the end, which then connected up into my Warped Forest. I went ahead and then just planted the Warped Forest fungus so I could grow the trees, textured it all up, and there you go. I built it, and it didn't really look right to me. I felt like there was something that was missing, but I thought I did everything, and I flew out and I looked at it and it looks good, but it also kind of looks like something's missing. So I decided to go to an actual Warped Forest in the Nether. And sure enough, what I forgot were these vine things. I didn't collect any of them, and apparently you can't just randomly grow them with bone meal. So I went ahead and used my Silk Touch pickaxe. We went ahead and just grabbed a few of those, and then we used bone meal to grow them all around. And there you go. That is looking much better and a lot more authentic. So there you go, one biome completed, and as long as you look at it just from the right angle, hey, our sphere is looking pretty good until you fly around to the side and you realize just how much is still left to go. So since I already started working on this soul hill here, I decided we would just complete this and just continue working in this same direction. So I decided we would work on that, but first I actually wanted to take a quick break because I've been building for so long, so I just flew back to my base. I needed more food. I only had 7 golden carrots left. I also needed to clear out a lot of my automatic farms because a lot of the chests had filled up completely, like with my sugarcane farm. So I went and just cleared all of that out, and I didn't really know what to do with all the sugarcane. I mean, I could have just turned it into paper and traded it for emeralds. That would have taken so long, and I don't really need emeralds. So the easiest way to get rid of this is just throw an entire shulker box of sugarcane into some lava, and there you go. I mean, this amount of sugarcane doesn't take too long to get, so I don't really care. And I don't really care about destroying the shulker boxes, because again, I have a shulker box farm. Literally, it takes me like 20 seconds to fly out to my nether roof, grab some shells, and then just craft a bunch more shulker boxes. It's literally no big deal. I just went and took care of all of that, and once I cleared out all of my farms, you know, my food farm, my iron golem farm, my shulker shell farm, my cactus farm, all of my farms, we can finally get back to building with our soul sand sort of hill area here, and we filled all of that in until I ran actually into a bit of a problem. with this, I actually ran out of soul sand. Like, I don't have any left. I don't know how that's possible. I thought I calculated perfectly to have more than enough soul sand, but yet I'm somehow like several stacks short. And then I went back to my base searching my chests and I realized, oh yeah, that's right. I put some in my chests in my base. I don't remember why I did that, but apparently I did. So yeah, it took me a while, but I did find that soul sand, so we didn't have to go mining anymore or anything. And now we can finally get back to work by finishing up this sort of hilled area here, completing it all off. So it only took me another day or two and we were able to merge it all the way down. And now really all of that leaves is our Crimson Forest. The way this thing is gonna work is I'm actually going to just build it up around the border of our circle rather than filling everything in. Because I want this thing to go really, really tall, but I don't want it to like take up too much space. So I basically just hollowed it out. So we're not filling in this entire massive area that you see right here with just a giant hill and Crimson Forest and whatnot. What we're actually going to be doing is just building around the outside of our sphere here to build the Crimson Forest. So I thought that would look pretty good. You know, it would be pretty tall without taking up too much space. I don't know if it's going to work out too well. I certainly hope it does, but you know, we'll see. So I grabbed all of the supplies. I got to building. I went and built up the terrain just a little bit so I could merge it a little bit better with what we built so far. And then I just worked on building up that outside like I said. We then planted a bunch of the crimson mushrooms to go ahead and grow those into the trees, add a little bit more decoration, and there you go. It turned out pretty much exactly how I wanted. It looks pretty good. It doesn't take up too much space, and it merges up perfectly with our Nether Fortress. So there you go. This is pretty much our build. Obviously, I've still got more decoration that needs to be done. I need to add the lava, and then I also want to add a base underneath this rather than just having it as regular old ground beneath it. You know, I want to add some sort of texture or decoration below this entire thing down here, like a giant pedestal or something, which I'm going to do in this video. Yeah, we've still got that left to do, but right now, actually, what I want to do is fill everything with lava. Now, I don't know why exactly I'm doing this. I mean, this build is so elevated that you're pretty much never going to see the lava anyway, but I mean, I might as well. So I'm thinking the easy way to do all of this was actually just to set up a nether portal right to a giant lava pool in the nether, and then I could just go back and forth to place down all of this lava. And now I can't really show you time-lapse footage of me doing all of this because since I'm going back and forth in the nether, it's kind of impossible to do a time-lapse footage due to how it works. I would technically be like out of render distance and it would like glitch out and be weird. Actually, pretty soon on, I was not happy with how this was turning out. I figured surely there's an easier way to place all of this lava, and so eventually, after a little bit of brainstorming, I came up with an idea. And what actually I decided to do is just build like rows on the ground in here, and then I could just fill up each row with lava. And then once I filled up the entire thing, I would break each row and then place all that back. So yeah, I think that makes sense, but basically just go ahead and skip ahead and I can show you. So this is what I built, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna again place the lava in between each individual row, so that way I can keep track a lot better of where I have it place lava. And then once everything is all completely filled in, we will then just break each individual row and then place the lava there. So that way it's a lot easier for me to keep track of all of this, and it'll just be a lot easier than swimming around in lava because I can just jump on these lanes and whatnot. Again, can't really time lapse this, so I guess we'll just go ahead and skip ahead until I'm done filling in each individual lane. So I'm gonna grab some fire resistance potions to make this a little bit easier for myself, and then right about 25 minutes or so later, we managed to fill in each individual lane. So now all that was left to do was break them and then place the lava. Now, I guess I could hypothetically just break each individual row and then not bother making every single block a source block of lava. I could just let it all flow and it would look fine. Because again, this is elevated. You're like never gonna see the lava, but like I would know. You know, I would know that not every single block of lava up here is a source block of lava. And that would bother me. Even though you guys would never see it, it would still bother me. So I've got to do it. I literally just got to do it. So I spent probably another 40 minutes or so breaking each individual block from our rows here and replacing it with a source block of lava until finally it came down to that last block. And there you go. Every single block in here is now a source block of lava. Did I have to do it? No, but I did. And I misspoke. Actually, now every single block in here is a source block of lava. So there you go. That was completely pointless and technically a waste of time, but hey, I did it. And now our actual build itself is done. The actual sphere is done. Now the only thing left to do is just to add a little bit more decoration to the bottom of this thing to make it make a little bit more sense and stuff like that. And I have to say, I absolutely love how this thing turned out so far. It truly looks awesome. This is easily one of my favorite builds so far, but again, we are not done. We've still got a little bit more work left to do. So first things first is I went ahead and cleared up the ground underneath. Like I said, we had that giant area that was broken up due to the wither, so I went in and patched it all up. The grass doesn't look perfect here because my patch job wasn't that great and smoothing everything out and evening everything out, but it still looks serviceable. You know, it looks natural enough. I also went ahead and got rid of the water that was underneath our giant build here, so that would make it a little bit easier to add my giant pedestal. So yeah, eventually I came up with the idea is we're gonna make our giant sphere of the nether, make it look like it just rose out of the depths of the overworld. I thought that would look pretty cool. So yeah, for this we were gonna need, I figured probably about a shulker box and a half of netherrack, which isn't that big of a deal. I didn't feel like flying all the way out to the area that I blew up to get my netherite, so I just flew into our wall here and started mining netherrack. It immediately caught on fire because that's my luck. I mined into the one source block of lava that was in this entire area. But yeah, we just went ahead, spent probably about 5 or so minutes, got ourselves all of the netherrack that we needed, and we were able to work on this build. I actually designed this thing to sort of look like a water drop landing in water. That is sort of the general idea that I had, kind of like this thing was rising up and bringing like the earth with it, you know, something like that. I thought it would look pretty decent. So yeah, that's sort of what I went with. And now it's time just to do that and hope it looks decent enough. So I spent round about an hour or so building all of this up, and of course made it hollow to save on all of the netherrack that we were going to need, and we finished all of that up.
1, 2, 3, let's go!
And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. After 2 full weeks of work, I have finally got this build done, and I have to say, it looks absolutely fantastic. This is instantly, definitely one of my favorite things I have ever done, ever, in Minecraft. This thing looks absolutely fantastic. I love how this thing looks. I love how the base turned out to make it look like it sort of pulled the netherrack in the earth up with it as it was rising up. And I mean, you can even see it from a distance from my base, how all of this looks. It literally looks like a snippet from the nether. That's because it is. I actually pulled that from the nether, and I mean, I just can't get over how amazing it looks. I seriously love how this thing looks in the background of my base. I love how every single bit of this turned out. I can't possibly think of how I could make this any better than it already is. But hey, if you guys have got any ideas of how this could look any better, let me know down in the comments below. I also have to say, I love how my base looks with shaders at nighttime with all of this glowstone. My base is honestly starting to look pretty good, and I really like it. And I especially love having this giant nether sphere just in the background of my base with a moon behind it looking even more fantastic. I love how all this turned out. Again, easily one of my favorite builds I've ever done. So yeah, I love this video. I hope you guys did too. If you did, please be sure to like button, subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any future videos, and I will see you guys in the next one.